In my previous video, I talked about using ChatGPT to try to write some code to make pages for my books. So the books have a certain text, and then I want to split the text up into separate pages automatically without having to create them myself. So my experiments with ChatGPT were not successful, unfortunately, but I've discovered a few little details that are going to make it a lot easier to try to implement this myself. The trick is that each page of the book is a constrained height and width, so therefore the text must be chunked up into sections that are that specific height and width. And then I need to render each section to a render texture. Well, it turns out there's already a setting, wrap, which automatically constrains the width. So, no need to do anything about that. And there's also a setting called page, which constrains the height of the Text Mesh Pro and separates it into pages. So pretty much this functionality is already built in, except the part where I render it to render textures. So the plan is we'll have a quad with a paper texture on it. We'll put the Text Mesh Pro right on top of it, and then we'll use a camera to take a picture. And this will all happen behind the scenes on an invisible layer, so the player won't be able to see it happening when it does. So I'm making a script called Book Page Maker, and we need to declare some variables here at the beginning. So one thing we need is text, which is the text of the book. We have our endless book object, which is in the world, but it has currently no pages right now because we're going to render pages on the fly. We're going to need some additional objects to construct our pages. So we need that invisible camera that I mentioned earlier. We also have a text mesh prefab and default page material. These are just templates for the pages that we're going to create. And then we need the actual Text Mesh Pro object, and that's also hidden from the player. And then we have a array of textures, which are the textures, the page textures that we are about to create. We're going to put everything in a coroutine. First, we instantiate a new Text Mesh Pro object based on our prefab, and we'll assign the text value to our text variable. We'll put this new Text Mesh Pro object inside the invisible layer. Now we skip a frame to allow Unity an opportunity to render the Text Mesh Pro into a mesh. Once the Text Mesh Pro object is rendered, it'll have multiple pages. So now we're going to loop through the pages and take a picture of each page and save it to a texture. So we'll set it to whatever page. Now we tell the camera to render the Text Mesh Pro to a render texture. So a render texture is only temporary, so now we're going to copy the render texture to just a regular texture. Okay, now we create a new page in our endless book object, and for that page we're going to create a material, and that material is going to display the texture that we just created. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So we're going to call this coroutine on Unity's built-in onEnable event, so that this code will run anytime we enable the object. The only other thing we need to do is clean up after we're finished. So whenever we disable the object, then we want to delete all of the textures and remove all the pages that we created. That'll free up the memory. Of course, I skipped over a lot of debugging and trying to get the code to work, so we can just skip to the end and I'll just show you what it looks like when we're finished. And there we go. We got words on the page. But we're not done yet, because we still have to create a way to go from walking around mode into flipping through pages of the book mode. So there's still more code to write before the book can be integrated into the game. But we'll do that in another video.